Hi everyone, it's Ed. Nice day today. Going to replace my AC heater control panel assembly. I'm going to actually pull it out, but what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to replace the actual switch itself. That switch is an analog type switch. And I did some research and stuff, and this switch part number is pretty popular through all of the GM products. And I did some identification of the switch itself, and what I found is that this particular switch, if you want to look it up, is actually the heater control switch for a Chevy Cobalt. Believe it or not, 2002 Chevy Monte Carlo, but it fits a lot of different products and stuff, and they never really changed the switch, which is amazing. But for the HHR, you cannot get the switch and order it through GM or even a parts supplier. They have no number for it. So I did some research, and like I said, what I found was that this switch is very popular, and it is the same identical switch that are in these vehicles and stuff. So you can order this part, either go down to your local parts store, you can order it on Amazon. You can, spend anywhere from like $18 up to $30, and you'll have yourself a brand new switch. And my thinking behind that is, the reason being, I've replaced this control panel assembly. This is my third time. And you have to think about it. These cars are over 15 years old. So what gets used the most is turning that fan switch. And it's an analog type fan switch. So it could be upwards to 20 years old in some cars. And then you're ordering these these heater assemblies, the panel assembly, through eBay. And it's a used part. So basically you're just sticking a used part in there, crossing your fingers, hoping that it's going to last. And like I said, this is my third one that I have had to replace within the last 5 years. So I was getting a little frustrated, and I figured, you know what, I started looking at the part number and stuff. I used to work in parts myself when I first started, when I was in college and stuff, so I worked for a parts store, so I know how to identify the part and look up numbers and cross-reference. So I started doing that, and that's what I found. So basically, if you want, this is a 4 seasons switch that is basically, if you look it up and stuff, the part number, it comes up on a Chevy Cobalt and also a Monte Carlo. And like I said, it's in a lot of GM products, GM Chevy products, and it's the exact switch that you need. So if for some reason, 9 times out of 10 when these fail, it's usually the fan switch. You either don't get all 4 speeds, or it's frozen and you can't turn it. So I'd say 95% of the time, just ordering this, if your resistor underneath next to the blower motor is okay, this is probably going to take care of your issue, unless you have some oddball thing going on where the controls here are not working properly and stuff. And just an FYI, if you guys are really, some guys can take these assemblies apart, and I can do that. These 2 controls right here are basically magnetic. They have little buttons. So if you actually took that assembly apart and cleaned the buttons, you can probably get the functions back working on that. But for today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in this brand spanking new switch, and hopefully not have to replace this whole assembly or replace that switch for quite some time. So I will show you how to briefly, what I do to take this all apart. But basically we're going to start by taking this chrome piece off. You can simply just get one of these chrome removal tools and you just pop it up like that. Take this off. And then you have to work on prying this up. Once you pry this section up right here, you're going to have a couple 7mm bolts that you have to remove. I would also suggest that at the same time you put the car in neutral, apply your brake and stuff. That way you'll have a little bit more room when you're prying this panel off, and you're not going to have any interference when you're banging into this and stuff. And I'm going to pause it for now because obviously I'm shooting with one hand and I'm going to need both hands to proceed. And I'll get back to you momentarily. All right, so I'm back. So basically you just want to pinch and pull this out. Now I have a 2010 HHR. So like if you have a 2006 and stuff, obviously they're a little different in this area right here. So for me, I just have to pinch and pull this up. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get my tool here and pry this up. But bear with me because I'm doing it by one hand. And so I'm probably going to have to pause you again because I'm going to need my other hand. Unless I can pop this off. Oh, I just popped it off. All right. So that came off. And there are the two 7mm bolts that you have to remove. So I'm going to proceed to do that. I'm going to put the car in neutral and apply the emergency brake just so I have a little bit more room to pull this panel off. And the panel basically comes off the same way. You're going to use your trim tool and you're going to start down here and you're just going to start to pop it up and work your way around until you can pull the whole assembly off. So I'm going to put you on hold again. Okay, I am back. So right now I'm going to pry off this faceplate and I'm going to go right here. So bear with me because I got one hand and I'm shooting. And I'm going to try to pull this panel and loosen it up. Okay, and you can see by just going like that, it's coming off. So now the only thing I have to do is disconnect these connectors right here at the top, and I can just lay this down. I don't even have to disconnect that. I'm just going to pull these connectors off right here and just lay this down, and then I have some easy access to remove these four 7mm bolts and pull this unit out and switch the switch. All right, I'm going to put you on hold again. Okay, I'm back. Disregard my previous suggestion of taking all this off and stuff like that. You actually really don't even have to do that. What I did was I pulled the switch connector and the connector over here, and you can get access to the screws. You're going to need a 10mm Torx to remove the two screws right here. And once you do that, the switch is loose. You just have to pull the knob off on this side and you can proceed to replace the switch, which is what I'm going to do next. I will pause you. Okay, I'm back. I put the new switch in, put the whole assembly back in. I'm gonna put the key on. My issue was I didn't have 4, the highest speed, so it would only go 1, 2, 3. So So I got 4 now. I've got the highest speed now, which is great because tomorrow's going to be hot and humid, and I like it nice and cold in my car. So basically that switch is, as far as I'm concerned, a perfect match. It is the blower motor switch. Rock Auto online has them, and like I said, the way I looked up the number and stuff, I had the actual part number for the OEM part, and that's how I kind of backtracked and figured it out and took a look at some switches. So that part number is a good part number that I showed earlier in the video, and I would say that this will probably help most people that have an issue with the fan switch where you're not having all the speeds. Like I said, 95% of the time this is probably going to fix your issue, and it's a lot cheaper because on eBay these assemblies now are like, I've seen them up to $100 and they're used, and then it's a crapshoot whether or not it's going to last any amount of time or whatever. But I think this will help out a lot of people. Good luck out there. Let me know if you have any issues or you've come across another number that is like this number, but I do know this number is good. So take it easy out there. Enjoy the rest of the week. Take it easy. Bye-bye.